What do you think would happen if Elon Musk brought Doge to Nigeria?
Well, will he even survive? Will Doge even survive? I don't know. I don't think Nigeria is not the US, right? Even with the subsidy, right? And is what the conversation we had earlier. Dangote refinery is there to produce fuel for the Nigerian market, and he's still struggling with the guys importing fuel because they don't want his project to, or I don't know if I'm saying this right, but he's facing resistance from a lot of people. So then imagine Doge.
Wouldn't last. Wouldn't
To be
last a
honest, I
day.
think we need it, right? Because again, it's a very important point because part of the idea of subsidy removal was to say, look, why are we paying billions of dollars to just a group of people who claim they are importing fuel and they don't import anything at the end of the day, or they inflate the figures just so they can make some money out of it. Why is the country subject to these people? Why can't we just allow anybody import and import fuel? But and the idea is to free up funds. So instead of paying these people, let's free up the funds. That fund goes into the budget or stays in the budget, and it's then used for developmental purpose. Now, I think that's the part where a lot of reform still needs to be done in that aspect of development. How do you ensure that people can reap the benefits of subsidy removal such that the money and the gain you've made from subsidy can go into developmental project? And I think that's where Doge then becomes the conversation of Doge then becomes important as to what's happening with government finances. All of a sudden, after the subsidy removal, monies that were shared to the state government initially used to be around 700 billion, a trillion naira. In fact, it went up to almost 2 trillion. So it doubled because the country now had enough money or even more money to share across the 36 states, and the federal government budget increased as well. But the question then is, and we're still asking those questions today, is how do you ensure efficiency of government finances? To be sure that you can hold people accountable. If the government says we spent XYZ on this road, we want to be sure that that's what they spent on that road. And we want to be sure that the money goes into capital projects, not into funding overseas trip or reckless spending. And I think that's where, that's perhaps what Elon Musk is trying to do with Doge. And maybe, hopefully, Nigerian version will come soon, but
I wouldn't put my money on it.
yeah, but it has to come from the president. It has to come. I mean, like with the US, it came from the president himself, and there's even been some backlash, right? Some agencies are, not trying to cooperate and all, but I just think it's something that I had advocated for from day one. That's where we should have started from, before even talking about removing subsidies. Reorganize government expenditures to areas that need them the most. Whether it's social transfer, infrastructure, and many of those other issues. So yeah, very valid thing to do, but I don't know how it will work in the context of Nigeria.